For more on this, I'm joined from Washington, D.C. by Republican strategist Adolfo Franco. Adolfo, as I said there, it's been a busy year. President Donald Trump is closing a seismic year as the country's commander-in-chief. What do you think has been the biggest political win since re-entering the White House for the president?
Well, thank you for having me. He is a transformative president, and it has been a remarkable record. Let me first address domestic issues. The president promised to close the border. He did. The president promised to lower illegal immigration. It is at historic lows. Never have we had such low levels of illegal immigration. He promised to bring down crime. He has done so as well at the federal level and deployed, as you mentioned, National Guards, for example, in Washington, D.C., which has been, again, remarkable. He passed what we call the Big Beautiful Bill, which extended his tax cuts of 2017. He has eliminated tax on overtime and tips for millions of Americans. He's brought inflation down in this country to 2.7% from the highs of 9% under President Biden. He has also done more to deregulate and stimulate the economy than we've had in years. We've had tariffs, as you mentioned in your headlines here, that people have said were doomsdays in April. The stock market in our country is at record levels. So domestically, it has been remarkable transformation. And I think more will come next year. On the international front, as you mentioned, we had absolutely no prospects of a ceasefire or peace in the Middle East, in Gaza. It's a difficult process, but it's a process that we have never seen in the past, and certainly not in the past administration. He's brokering a deal, apparently, with Ukraine, or at least there are serious considerations and proposals on the table, which we didn't have previously. And of course, he's brokered, as you mentioned, the India region, the subcontinent, not with Bangladesh, but Pakistan and India, a peace deal there. The Pakistani prime minister nominated him for the Nobel Peace Prize, done something in Africa. So the engagement, energy level, and transformation of our country in 1 year, and the mood in this country is completely different than it was just 2 or 3 years ago.
So lots of wins that you outlined there for me on the domestic and the international level, Adolfo, but it hasn't always gone Trump's way. Let's be honest. He's been plagued by the release of the Jeffrey Epstein files, which he's appeared in, and the Russia-Ukraine war, despite his attempts to broker a deal, like you said, just hasn't come to fruition. How have these setbacks been viewed by Donald Trump's MAGA base?
Well, first, obviously, there are always going to be issues. They're not all going to be resolved in 1 year. And in terms of the human nature of issues or other challenges, not everything is going to be resolved necessarily. With Epstein, of course, we have not seen any evidence to date that the president is implicated in anything that's criminal or similar to, for example, what had happened to Prince Andrew or some of the outrageous allegations. Keep in mind that the Epstein files were in the hands of the Democrat administration under Joe Biden and reviewed for many years by his adversaries. And had there been significant evidence or dirt or anything of that kind, or less than that, that would have been exposed. With respect to Ukraine and Russia, yes, it is a difficult process, but where were we 3 or 4 years ago? He has been praised by European leaders and others about his efforts in that regard. I think, and I'm hopeful there will be an agreement, but the progress and engagement has been something that has just pales in comparison to the previous administration. Keep in mind that President Trump's great success internationally has to do with something that our adversaries and our friends both know, and that is his unpredictability. And that is, I think, something he uses to his advantage. No one really knows, as he himself has said, I might do it or might not do it. What I mean by that is that everyone has to take him seriously because it is the United States of America. There's now even suggestions, I don't think it will happen, that we would deploy U.S. troops to Ukraine. So you go from non-engagement to U.S. troops, that puts pressure on parties to come to the negotiation table. And that, of course, has been the art of the deal and his success politically and in terms of the business world.
It's really interesting because I think his foreign policy has had some European leaders hopping, Adolfo. Let's be honest, they've been pretty concerned about a lot of things that have been happening. But I want to move on and look a little bit ahead. Trump has never failed to entertain us, has he? From his dancing on stage when it comes to YMCA. I mean, he's always almost got a great sense of humor. We can't forget that about Donald Trump. And like you said, he surprises all of us. But what do you think could define the next year coming up for President Donald Trump, 2026? We do know there's midterm elections. There's a lot to look forward to. So what, if you had your crystal ball, what do you think?
Well, Mike, you're right about the entertainment factor. We need to keep in mind most American politicians are that. They have been career politicians, statesmen. I'm not taking away from that. I've worked for them. I've worked on Capitol Hill. I've worked in administration. But President Trump is, at heart, an entertainer, a showman. He had television programs and so forth. And I do think that works to his advantage. President Reagan, who was an actor, once said that people criticized him by saying, I can't believe an actor is president. And his response was, I can't believe one is not in show business and not president. So I think that is a talent and works, again, very well. Keep in mind that President Zelensky was also an entertainer. However, back to your question about the next year, I think the domestic agenda will be in the forefront because of the midterms that you referenced. The big, beautiful bill and its impact will start to be felt by the American people in terms of lower taxes when they fill out their taxes in April of this coming year. So I think the domestic agenda and lowering prices, which is the term now being used by the Democrats and embraced by Republicans, affordability is going to be key. With gas prices and energy prices down, I think people will start to feel that. But I think the president's focus, you mentioned the MAGA base and so forth, will turn a little more inward. But we can't ignore the world either because we are the superpower, and not only in the theaters we talked about, whether they be Ukraine or Gaza, but globally. But his domestic agenda will be the priority in 2026.
And just before I let you go, Mamdani, we spoke about him. Obviously, he's going to be inaugurated tonight as New York's new mayor. There was a lot of controversy around Mamdani. What do you think is in store for New York as he is now coming into the leadership role in the city? And how do you think he'll work with Donald Trump and the Republicans? Because, of course, Donald Trump has been calling him a socialist.
Well, I think there's a lot of nervousness in New York. I just returned. I was in New York this week. I think there's a lot of nervousness. There's serious contemplation by major Wall Street firms to leave New York. The truth is an expression in the pudding. We'll see what actually happens. Many of his promises would require action by the state government in Albany, and that's going to be difficult because the makeup of the rest of the state is quite different politically than New York. So some of those promises he's made are going to be difficult. I think the chief concerns are local taxes and in the city and crime and police enforcement, what he will do. I think the president handled it magnificently with him, politically speaking, but I don't see this being a political marriage of any kind or any kind of accommodation. I think the relationship with the president will be difficult and rocky because of his policies, if they do come to fruition or they're advanced in any shape, way, or form, are going to be completely opposite of those of conservatives and Republicans. So I see the future of New York to be quite bleak. New York has been bleeding, people leaving the city for a long period of time because of high taxes, high crime. And I think, and there is a fear that this will only be exacerbated under this Mamdani administration. He has promised higher taxes. So I don't understand how business can be cheering that or welcoming that in terms of additional investments in the city.
Adolfo Franco, as I always say, 24 hours is a long time in politics. So thank you so much for giving me the roundup of Donald Trump's year in power and also what 2026 could hold. Happy New Year to you and all the best for next year. Pleasure. Thank you so much. Thanks, Adolfo.